the background.
Welcome to Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, Nomaniacs, what's good? Welcome to the show. This is Nomad at Night. I'm your host, Nomad, and with us tonight is my trustees, man. My guy down there at the bottom left, my guy Naj, man. I love this guy, man. Look at that football Chicago style T-shirt, man. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about, Najee. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Straight love in the show tonight. Naj has become one of us now, man. He's like a piece of furniture, man. You get used to him. He's just there, you know what I mean? But my guy,
Chicago style, y'all.
that's what I'm talking about. Football has a style in Chicago, and it's represented on that shirt. I love that color. I love that a lot. I'm in between that one and the green one, but now looking
Yeah, this is the beige.
Yeah,
This is the
now
beige.
looking at it in real life with Naj on it, I'm getting that color, man. I'm getting that color first. That's the first color I'm getting. And I just want you guys to know, anybody that went and bought merch, everybody, man, anybody's gonna get it in advance later on, man. We thank you ahead of time. And we got already right off the top, we got a $9.99 super chat from Jason that I would like to read. I'd like to give a shout out to Nomad and his network tonight. Y'all have given me a different lens to look through in life. I've always gravitated towards all of you because of it. I imagine that's what he's saying. So, Jason, those good vibes are received and reciprocated, brother. That's what we're all about, man. Good vibes around here. Chicago Bears fan base needs it, in my opinion, you know. And I will say this out in the open one more time. We just came through a bitter civil war when it came to the quarterback situation in Chicago. And I would like to say openly, from my part in it, that if I played any role in it that was negative in any kind of way, I do apologize for it, man, because I did not mean for anything to get negative. But I'm tribal. I'm as tribal as your next person. And so long as Justin Fields was a quarterback on our team, I was always going to support him until he wasn't. And that was just the bottom line. You know, it didn't have anything to do with what I know Caleb Williams is capable of. And we're going to find that out here shortly. It had nothing to do with that. It was just about being supportive of the guy we had. And Jason with the $9.99 super chat again. What you see and feel, thankful and honest and sticking with you with how you feel, but never shoving your opinion down somebody's throats. Debates are always welcome. You are absolutely right, man. I would tell any and everybody that those same words you just said. I mean, you know, the opinions are free flowing around here. You know, people are individuals around here. You have your own mind and you speak it around here on this channel. You know, you might have a opinion that's different than mine. You might have one that's different than kids. We all might have different opinions, but nobody's going to be slinging no insults towards each other around here. It's just not the kind of community we have. It's respect. You know, so you might have a different way of thinking about this or that, but I ain't gonna sit there and try to skewer you over it. You know, you're just gonna be thinking different than I am. That's just all it is too. And then we get back to the business of talking football. That's just all it is. So thank you, Jason, man, for being so generous all the time with us, man. We love you and appreciate you, man. But that being said, man, hey, welcome to the show one more time. And we got a bunch to talk about tonight. And absolutely, I'm going to be transparent. We had some technical difficulties. And if you guys seen some bogus thumbnails up there with testing and all that kind of stuff going on, that was us working through some kinks that we had behind the scenes with YouTube and StreamYard. So we apologize for that if you saw any of that stuff and it confused you at all, man. But yeah, hey, Dante, man, I was trying to be positive, man, but it got nasty, man. It got a little salty. And I was salty at times too. I ain't gonna try to play the angel in the situation, because I wasn't, but I tried to be more positive than most, because I did support my quarterback. But now Caleb is our quarterback, and I'm gonna look after him and with the same piss and vinegar I gave Justin Fields. So trust and believe that. But that being said, man, listen, let me pass it on to kids for some pleasantries, man. We're gonna go around the horn right quick, and we got a little bit of advertisement to get to before we get going.
What it do, no maniacs? It's Sunday. Under normal pretenses, I'd be raising a glass, but the liquor store is on strike in Canada right now in Ontario. So, boo to liquor store strikes holistically across the board. Let's give a pure thumbs down for liquor store strikes. Anyways, let me give y'all a little bit of love. Patty Laura, how's it going, Patty? What it do? Junior, what it do? Cornelius, Jay Grizz, Ant Moss, FFG Styles with us today. Mo Fugra, what it do, Mo Fugra? Dante Purifies with us today. We also got the Scottish Bear. Who else is out there? Our guy, Country Santa, Brian Hendren. Big shout out to my guy, Keith the Bishop. What it do, Keith? Sheep Planks with us. John, what it do, John? Jason. Big respect on all the super chats and for your love in general. Love right back at you, Jason. Who else am I missing? Am I missing anybody else? Did I say Cornelius Squalls number 2, No Maniac, is with us today. What it do, Cornelius? The Plankster and the Sheep Plank are with us today. Who else we got? Am I missing anyone? FFG Style, Black Diamond, J2K underneath me. What it do, J2K? You know what? Let me pass it on to you, man.
Hold on. Before J2K, before you go, let me give J2K a quick shout out to this thumbnail. This thumbnail was dynamite. It started off as a concept he and I were talking about, but by the time he got done with it, it was absolutely unique. I would just say that, and it's unique, and I love unique. And I think we both are in that same vein when it comes to that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'll give J2K a shout out for that thumbnail. That shit was awesome. And I just want to say thank you to him right here on the show.
Cool. Thanks, you guys. And appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. Hope you all had a good weekend. I'm super pumped that football is finally back, even if it's just practice. We're 10 days away from an actual preseason game. So I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited. I'm also excited to have the Nodge on the show tonight. Again, sporting football Chicago style t-shirt. That's pretty cool to see. Appreciate all your guys' support, and especially you, Nodge.
Well, thank you, J2K. I just want to first toast my significant other. Her birthday was yesterday. So
happy birthday,
Mrs. Nodge.
Mrs. Happy birthday, Mrs. Nodge. I hope she heard me. Happy birthday to you.
Absolutely. Just glad to be back after 2 weeks. And I was just saying during the warm-up discussion, the last time I was on was 2 weeks ago. And the name of the show was, What is Chicago-Style Football? And I got the shirt that supports it now. So just encourage everybody to skim around the merchandise website. There's all kinds of good stuff there, all kinds of colors. A little bit for everybody. And bear down. Take it away, Nomad.
Nodge, thank you again for your generosity. I would encourage, not just because we're selling them, but for the Bears fan base, I think it's important to know it's a reason. There's a reason why we started off promoting this particular T-shirt in the first place, and it comes from a spirit that's deep within me. I grew up from as early as I can remember, and I have a photo graphic memory. You know, I can remember being 2 years old, being picked up by my pops, getting kissed on, all that stuff. You know, everybody doesn't have that, but since I can remember, football has always been a part of me. And what did I do? I grew up in Chicago football culture. You know, and Chicago football culture is in my blood, and there's a style to it. You know, and I think this year, we've had years where, and I'm gonna get to keep FFG style up there. Um, we've had years where that style was prevalent. The Ditka years, some of the Lovey years where it was real prevalent what our brand is. Our brand is physical. Our brand is physical, plain out simple. We are a physical football team that plays a knockout, knockdown, drag out defense that carries us. That's our style. You know, and so I thought it always should be represented on a t-shirt. And this is my particular design, and I love it. And I love seeing Naj in it. You know, I love to see all you guys in it. And I think as the season goes on, I think you might feel the urge to want to grab it, man, because I'm telling you, man, that's going to be evident and it's going to be elevated during this season. I think that style that I'm discussing and describing to you guys is going to be highlighted this year. And I think it's going to carry us to whatever next level that we're going to. I think that style is going to be an emphasis. But thank you, Naj, again. Here we go. FFG style with a $2 super chat. When is the first Nomad Bears fan party this year? You know what? You just started something. So I'm going to have to write that down in my head and chronicle that. Maybe we need to do something like that, man. Maybe we need to do a fan party, a support party or something like that. We probably should do something like that. But thank you for that one, FFG style. Just gave me a good ass idea. But that being said, I need to pass it on to the Canuck, man. He's got some business to straighten out here for you guys that love fantasy football and want to be involved in that. Took us some time, but we finally got the T's crossed and the I's dotted, and he's ready to deliver it for you guys. So go ahead, take it away, kids.
And away we go. The Superflex Fantasy Football Podcast. Experienced fantasy football excellence, y'all. Hosted by yours truly, Kez the Canuck. My guy Nomad will be with me. We'll also have all kinds of other special guests as we go through the season. But basically, we're putting together a football family, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It'll be powered by sleeper.com. You will do all of your trades and drafting within the awesome platform powered by Sleeper. You kind of got a little bit of a look at that in the advertisement right there. We'll be pushing that ad in all sorts of other areas. You will hopefully see it on your Twitter as well as potentially on your favorite YouTube shows as well. That being said, we've got a free league. By all means, grab your phone, scan that QR code that popped up a little bit earlier on. We'll throw it up a little bit later as well. Scan that QR code, jump into the free league if you don't want to put your money where your mouth is. If you do want to put your money where your mouth is, follow us over here to the Nomad Network. The nomadnetwork.com. Basically, you're going to grab yourself a Superflex t-shirt and follow the prompts. We'll send you an email with a link to actually join the league, and you'll be inserted into one of the leagues there. And we'll all compete, have an awesome time, chop it up, talk trash, follow ADP, figure out who's who in the zoo by way of waiver wire and sleepers. And it's on until the end of the season, y'all. 16 weeks of fun. But that's what we got cracking behind the scenes here at the Nomad Network in conjunction with Kedro Vision. And you only find this on Kedro Vision. Dig it. Superflex Fantasy Football, y'all. We ready to go. Let me pop this this guy up for you guys one more time.
Before you go, though, Kev, be clear. It's the-nomad-network.com.
The-nomad-network.com. That's where you'll find your shirt. Go ahead. As you see right there, there's the advertisement. Follow the link. Grab the shirt. Join the league. And compete for some cash prizes. It's basically the gist of it all.
And the shirt also has different color variations too. It's not just the white. There's black. There's different colors on there, like most of the gear we have there. You know, but the white is really clean. The one I like, just personally, I do love the black one. That thing is nice. Maybe we'll take a trip to the website right quick and see the color variations. Nick, if you don't mind, if you feel like doing it, let me know.
Oops. Matter of fact, I think I got it up here. Just give me a second. There we go. Oh, I lost it. I will have it again. Boom.
You gotta take this down first. Oh, Nick's pulling it up.
And there we got it.
Pull that down. Nick's pulling it up.
I have it up here.
Okay.
All right. So there's your instructions. Again, follow the-nomad-network.com. Jump in. Follow the link. You can click right here. It'll bring you right to the Superflex t-shirt. Booyah. Oh.
It's down. Scroll them down at the bottom.
There we go. There we go.
Look at that black one. Look at that black one. That black one.
There's your black. Green on black. Personally, I like this one. I like the beige. I think it's kind of got a little bit of an army feel, and the brown's kind of nice too, I'll be honest with you. So there it is. That's the basic details. If you want to get into scoring and things along those lines by way of the league, it'll basically be a standard PPR league. We'll also be adding a couple of additional bonuses in there if your players are balling. Outside of that, just simply fun, bragging rights, and smack talk throughout the season. Follow your favorite players just like you normally would, and this time around, do it with a much bigger community. And let's grow the community.
And by the way, the $60 T-shirt won't stay that way after the season. It's there to make an easy way for you guys to sign up, make it streamlined for us to be able to handle it. By the way, kids, hit that gray one down there while I'm talking, man. It's just it's not we're trying to overcharge somebody the light gray one down under that. There, right underneath. Go down.
This is more of a baby blue. There. That's what you're calling gray. But
right above that. Right there. You just had your hand on it. Right there. No, the other one right under that.
Oh, this is a gray. I thought it was a white. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah, that's nice.
That goes with everything, man.
Yeah.
That goes with everything. No, but it's not that we're trying to inflate the price to try to take advantage of you. It just so happened that this avenue was the best way for us to get people to sign up, and where they spend their money, it's easier for us to handle that process. That's all it is. It's just you're going to get a T-shirt for signing up for $60. It's all.
Yeah, under normal pretenses, we would just say $60 to join the league, but we felt at the same time, let's give you guys a free T-shirt out of the mix. Same token, you will be winning a pot at the end of the season, just like you normally would for any other fantasy football league. The other thing that I'm hyped about is getting you guys these T-shirts. So I'd like to run a little bit of a campaign with you guys who join the league. Grab your T-shirt, take a picture of yourself in your T-shirt, and we're going to run that right here live on Nomad Live as we go throughout the season, give you guys a little bit of love and a little bit of respect and some props, some shine, because you're down with us. That's a little bit of a campaign that we wanted to run here as a part of the Superflex Fantasy Football Podcast and League. But anyhow, that should just about round it out. These aren't the only shirts you can get on this awesome site. There are some others, right? We just took a look at the Nodger shirt. There's a few more. By all means, get to the-nomad-network.com. Take a look for yourself.
And real quick, while Kez is doing all that, listen, let us know if you have intention to play the free league or the $60 league. That way I can get my eyes on, and Kez can get his eyes on people that intend to join one of those leagues, if not both. You want to play the free one, play the free one. You want to play the $60 league, play the $60 league, get yourself a t-shirt. But let us know if you have the intention to play. And so I'll have an idea, and Kez will have an idea of who to look forward to and who wants to play. And so, yeah, just let us know in the chat, man. Give us an idea if you play in the free one or you want to play the $60 one. Just let us know if that's your intention. But with that being said, man, listen, man, I love the gear on this site. I really do. But people came here to talk about some football. That's what they came here to talk about, didn't they, Naj? They want to talk about some football. They want to talk about some football because it's getting damn close. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, and I don't have my notepad here, and guys, I apologize today for being so unprepared because we had a little technical issue going on before the show, and I wasn't able to write my normal notes and get really, really prepared for a show like I really like to do. But that being said, I'm good at talking about football. We're good at talking about football, so we're going to do this. And so my first statement I want to make to you guys is the pads go on, I think, on July 27th, I believe. And I believe there's only 13 padded practices. The only reason that doesn't spook me is because the rest of the league has to deal with the exact same thing. So whatever we're lacking as far as that goes in that department. But in case people don't know, teams do cheat. The teams that don't have cameras in their facility, the Bears will have no ability whatsoever to be able to cheat. They have hard knocks in the building. So they can't cheat and take a day and get some hitting in. No, you can't do that. They have 13 padded practices, and the first one starts on, I believe, July 27th. And 3 days after that is a game. So you're talking about literally, kids, you're talking about 2 padded practices. And that third one isn't going to happen. It's going to be a walkthrough before the actual game. And so, I don't know what we're going to look like on during the Hall of Fame game. I'm glad it's happening, but I don't know what we're going to look like. 2 padded practices, not feeling good about it. How you?
I'm okay. I just kind of want to see them at the Hall of Fame game, see how things go between now and then. Plus, there's a couple of guys who are hurting right now, which I don't think they were really expecting. They were expecting Karan to be fine at this point, and Jamie Chroma seems to have pulled up ill out of the woodwork too. So maybe a couple of days of, maybe one less day isn't so bad right now. I just want to see sort of how it affects them in that Hall of Fame game and what they look like. I just want to see them on bloody field. That's it. J2K.
The more I think about it, the more I think that Caleb Williams might not even play this game. Even if he does, maybe one series. So for me, I'm going to be excited to watch Tyson Bagent lead this offense and see what he can do. There's a lot of roster spots that are up for grabs, so that's going to be a game to see who can make the team. I'm expecting a lot of UDFAs to play. We've gone through so many of them in the last couple months since the draft. I think we all got guys that we've kind of penciled, circled, and starred that we want to see how they play and what they can contribute. So I'm excited for the game, even if it's not the Caleb Williams show. It's just going to be great to watching our Bears suit up and play a game and watching some of these young guys. Naj, what are you excited about?
Before you go, Naj, let me ask J2K a question. Give me a good. Now, I think I know what you're thinking about why you don't think Caleb will play. You think they're trying to hide him until he's a little bit more ready? Is that what you're trying to say?
Just historically, starters don't play in that first. Not only do starters play limited in the first preseason game, but a Hall of Fame game generally is pure backups, and that's a game where you try to decide that back end of the roster and give these guys a chance. And as the preseason goes on more and more, that's when you start to see more of the starters. Caleb's a little bit of a different story because, we want to ramp him up and get him ready for the season. But historically, it just doesn't shake out that way.
What say you, Notch?
Well, I brought my favorite note right here.
That's what
in my
Nod's
archives.
Nodge has got notes.
And then for you, Mr. Burr, I wanted to share this with you. That's what a Super Bowl champion looks like, buddy. 1985. That's what a Super Bowl champion or even a team looks like that's been in a Super Bowl. But seriously, looking forward to this preseason. I'm a special teams guy. I got my Devin Hester jerseys behind me. So I'm just kind of celebrating Devin Hester for the next, 11 days or so in his honor. And looking forward to also some of these newer players. See how they fill out the roster, how they perform on the punt team and kickoff team and those types of things. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this and the bottom, say, 15 or so guys, how they fill out the roster and how they perform this preseason. So go ahead.
No, man. Everybody, make sure if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow. What's your handle on there? The Notch?
Pound for pound 54.
Pound for pound 54. That's your handle on Twitter?
Pound for pound 54. That was my nickname in high school. Okay. And my jersey number. Okay. Pound for pound 54.
Y'all give my guy Nodge a follow on Twitter, man. I love talking to this dude, man. I mean,
I get pretty salty though, everybody.
That's okay. Shit, you a Bears fan. We all some salty motherfuckers, man, around here.
Yes, we are.
We got one coming, man. We got one coming. We're cruising for it. We're cruising for it this year. But I want to challenge. I don't know, challenge is the right word, but I want to, react to what J2K said and give a different opinion on it. I believe because I don't know that we played do we have a history of having played in the Hall of Fame game? I don't know if we have. If we have, we haven't played in one in a very, very long time. And that's weird because we're the pilot franchise and all. It's just weird that if you have to look like that, kid, then we haven't played in one either in a very long time or
I think we played in. I think we played in one relatively recently.
Like how recent?
I will verify this. Keep chopping it.
Check it out. But before you get there, listen. I think under normal circumstances, J2K would probably be right. But he's not simply a starter. He's a rookie. And every single snap that kid can get under these circumstances, and we're gonna get into the particulars of what's been going on in the camp so far, and what's been coming out of there, the reports, and what people are saying so far. But from my understanding of what I'm getting in totality, I come with the conclusion of I don't see there's any way that they don't play him in some form or capacity in that Hall of Fame game. Number one, because he needs it. Number two is because it's an NFL branded product that they probably need to build up a little bit. You know what I mean? So how do you do that? Put a little bit of star power out there. And so I think there's a reason and a cause for both the Chicago Bears and the NFL to expect Caleb Williams to play in the Hall of Fame game. But J2K, if you want to react to that, go right ahead.
Yeah, just in general, historically, they tend to sit guys. I can see a series, get them in for a series, but it's vanilla defense, it's a vanilla offense, and it's really just getting them out there to go through cadence. Pick out the Mike linebacker, do kind of the simple things, get in and out of the huddle. And I don't know if they're going to do a whole lot outside of one series. I've heard some people just flat out say that they do not expect him to play at all. So I'm not totally sure. I just know from history that, even rookies tend not to play that game. It is very much a backup game. It's kind of like what was the third game of preseason when we had 4 preseasons where it was just all backups, third strings, total roster bubble guys they were just given film to other teams in the league because they already knew that they were going to let these guys go. And that's kind of what that first or even the Hall of Fame game, more importantly, is kind of more about. But I could be wrong. They might give him a lot of snaps, but I don't think they want to have him out there with a backup offensive line. So that's
Right.
another limiting factor as far as how long Caleb would play. So, and then it's just, you want your starting offensive line going against second and third stringers just to give Caleb some reps, or, the grading process, and just, I'm just not there yet.
I feel you, man. I do believe there's any reps he can get are good reps in NFL live bullet, live action stuff. I get what you're saying. What kind of value are these reps going to be, and what could they bring them? I get that. NFL reps are NFL reps. It's going to speed up with the ones, but I think he needs all the reps he can get. But here's why I would defend the statement that you just made. So if Caleb isn't quite where he needs to be come Hall of Fame game time, I could see them saying, you know what, it's probably not a good idea to put him out there now. Give him about another week, and then by the time the first preseason game, we'll give him some time out there. I can see that world. Now, as I see you shaking your head, I think you can get my way of thinking here. Go ahead, Notch.
I would give him one series and see how it goes from there. He definitely the one thing that comes to my mind is the cadence. He's got to be in sync with that offensive line and his receivers too. Nobody can jump off sides. They got to be in a right rhythm. And I would say at least get him in one series, one set of downs, something, just to get his feet wet. And if he starts thriving, if it starts, developing a little bit, maybe 2 series. But I definitely wouldn't go more than a quarter. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel you there, man. I'm gonna answer your question there, James Hunter. James Hunter's talking about Shaquille Quarterman, linebacker we signed out of. He was drafted from Miami, but I think he's played on a team or two since, But yeah, Shaquille Quarterman, I think he was a signing because of an injury. I don't know if it was Jamry Chroma, because he's a linebacker, but also has some he's got some pass rushing ability. I would just say that.
Special teams too, I think, from Jacksonville, right?
Mm-hmm. Also has they also, I guess we found out today that Noah Sewell's dealing with something, and he wasn't at practice today. So that could have been a response to that. Shaquille Quarterman probably, once everybody gets healthy and ready to go, he probably won't be here long. But Shaquille Quarterman is absolutely an animal. If you want to know something about Shaquille Quarterman, he is an animal. Shaquille Quarterman is your linebacker's linebacker. He just looks for contact. He's a Miami guy. They have a tradition down there. And
Yes.
Those Miami linebackers are absolute animals, man. Straight up. I can tell you that from experience. We had a few on our team when I was in college, and I know they're animals, man, and they're bred to be that way down there, man. Those Miami linebackers are straight dogs, man. And they don't, I'll just put it to you this way. Physical well-being, it don't even matter. We're just trying to get out there and knock somebody's ass around. That's just the way he's made. And I can understand why Flus and the front office was attracted to him to bring him in for a trial. He might get called up later on during the year, but Shaquille Quarterman is an absolute dog, man. I love the way he plays the game of football. But that being said, kids, what did you find out about the Hall of Fame game history? You're on mute, man.
Of course I'm on mute. That would only be like par for the course. But in any event, so I knew I had a feeling that Trubisky played in the Hall of Fame game, and he did in 2018. So there was a Hall of Fame game in 2018. We played against the Ravens. We lost 17-16. The Bears have been in 4 Hall of Fame games to date. One was against the Cowboys. We beat them 30-24. In 1968, the Jets 20-6. We beat the Jets in 1977. We beat the Browns 13-0. And that was in 1990. Last team we beat out in the woods there in 05 was the Miami Dolphins. You were just talking about 27-24. So we've been in a few of them. We're 4-1. I'm hoping we push that into 5-1, but matters absolutely nothing to me. I just want to see Caleb Williams get a little bit more than that one series that the Nodder's talking about. That's me. I hope he gets a couple of series. Heck, I would like to see him. Like, he doesn't even have to throw the ball. I would like to see him just back there and have them run jet sweeps all day. Run the ball, run jet sweeps. Just get your cadence out. Make sure that things look good. Get used to how quickly these defensive ends are coming. And yeah, that's me. If you don't want him to throw the ball, don't have him throw it. Just have him out there to get a feeling as to what's going on and as to how his command of the offense is gonna, just execute that and test that out. Try it out, see what it looks like.
So really quickly, let me correct myself. I think that we've signed another linebacker since then, and it's Javin White. I've been corrected by Country Santa. My guy Brian Hendren hooked us up. I didn't know this. I was busy doing podcast shit in the background and not up to date with what I need to know. And so I guess we signed Javin White, who has actually been here sometime last year. He was here. I remember we signed him either during training camp or right after training camp or something. We put him on a practice squad. He was here last year sometime. So Javin White's been here. He's got experience with this organization, this team, this group of coaches. He knows what he's doing. He knows what they expect out of him. I expect that probably has something to do with, maybe whatever happened with Norsu. I guess whatever happened with him, made them have to sign a body for a couple of days until, whatever is going on with Norsu gets resolved.
Is he injured? Do you know?
Yeah, he didn't practice today. I don't know if they disclosed the details of the injury, but I know he didn't practice.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm glad you went there because this is one of those rooms where I'm good. The bench in that room gonna be real warm.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta say about it, right? Like, that room's nice. I think the top 4 guys in that room are upper echelon of the NFL. I'm not saying they're the best in the NFL, but definitely upper echelon. So whoever else
get the job done, that's for sure.
Without question. If your second guy is TJ Edwards, you're doing good things, right? So I'm happy with what we have in that particular room. And every time somebody's, we signed a linebacker, I'm like, why? But depth. All right. Y'all do it. You get that. You make sure that bench is real hot. Steaming hot.
There you go, kids. You got your first question. You go ahead and read it out. Remember, we got audio listeners, man.
Oh, man. So here we go. At Kedrovision, hey, when is the Fantasy Football League deadline? Good question. Right now, we're going to call it September 1st. Actually, sorry. We're going to call it September 7th. That's what we're going to call it. Second one, September 7th.
All right. So here's my I'm gonna really kind of paraphrase what I heard from Zach Pearson, who was a Chicago Bears beat writer. Caleb Williams was really good in 7-on-7s. He didn't miss anything. 11-on-11s really didn't miss anything. So what I took from that, from other reporters reporting, it sounds like they're really working on him in the quick game. And I think they found out. No, I think they knew before they drafted him, this would be one of his strengths. And so working in the quick game, getting in that intermediate area and getting those routes down to a science. And that's going to be your blitz beater stuff. All that stuff, the quick game stuff, all that stuff works in your favor when you get it, when you have a quarterback that can really deliver that way. And so when I see Zach Pearson, shout out to Zach Pearson from I believe NBC Sports, if I'm not mistaken. So Zach Pearson says he was pretty perfect on 7-on-7 drills and 11-on-11 drills, and it sounded like quick game stuff after I looked at a few other reporters talk about it. And I think that's the emphasis right now. He's in phase 1 of installs in this part of the preseason, and he's probably going to hit phase 2 probably sometime tomorrow or the next day. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're probably going to take a day off tomorrow and then get back to it on Tuesday. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that, but that's usually kind of how it goes. And then they'll probably start install phase 2 and on and on and on every week until they get to the first preseason game. And so it's about par for the course. You heard about him throwing an interception to Tyreek Stevenson, in a 2-minute period. Whether I don't know whether it was
another Miami guy.
Yeah, another Miami guy. Going into the half, or it was an end of game situation, but I don't know if it was an end of game situation and if it was a down and distance situation, I know the defense has to play that a little bit more aggressive. So let's just say they were under 40 seconds or something, and they were at the 40 or just behind somewhere around the 40, and they were trying to keep them out of field goal range. And so how do you play that as a defense? You probably want to play it close and tight. And so Caleb had to probably unload the ball and threw it, and basically Tyreek Stevenson could see it coming and he jumped it. You gotta get rid of it, but you can't go for the jugular right there. You're just trying to get into field goal range, and it's going to be short game stuff, and it's going to cue the defense to play it a certain kind of way. And so Tyreek jumped it, and he got a pick on him. Not the end of the world, but the kind of stuff that you expect. So, after all that being said, I think they're focusing on the quick game, and that is his strength. That's the difference between he and Justin Fields right off the bat. That's what you notice about Caleb Williams, and the difference between Justin is how well he gets the ball out in the quick game. Go ahead, kids.
It's a huge difference, bro. That's a night and day difference, and that's really what I think that they're hoping for. If he has a quick game and that is something to his advantage, that just screams Keenan Allen eats all season long. It also screams similar things about your guy Cole Kmet. Another guy to talk about who I believe is also injured out there is Gerald Everett. Just, since I'm in and around the middle of that field in that quick game situation, I want to see it. I want to see if he has a good mastery of that. I believe that he's coming into this role with that in his belt as a tool, right? So I can't wait to experience just that alone, because that if Justin had that as a part of his game, wow, it would have been a very different situation last season, I have to admit.
KQ says he's back in practice tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, Everett? Oh,
right.
Perfect. KQ was also saying that Jamry Cromer was in practice yesterday, which would blow my mind because 2 days before, Matt Eberflus said he was on the PUP list. He announced Jamry Cromer, and he also announced Karan and his non-football injury as well. So those are the two injuries that he did bring to light 2 days ago. I would be surprised if Jamry actually was able to suit up and play. If he is, fantastic. I'd like to see what he has in store as well, because I think he could be a pretty big contributor to that defensive line.
Go ahead, J2K.
So that Chroma injury, it was a 1 day on the NFI list. Everett, I think, was on that for 2 days. So, which is great to hear. When you first hear that, you wonder what's wrong with these guys, and then you find out it was not a big deal at all. So yeah, and then as for Caleb Williams, like Keds was saying, if Justin had that quick game, getting the ball out of his hand quickly, you weren't yelling at the screen, at the TV all day, throw the ball. That's going to be the huge difference between him and Caleb. And I think given our wide receiver group their ability to get open, Caleb's ability to get the ball to them quickly. He's got such a smooth release. Yeah, I think it's all very exciting stuff that's going to happen in the future here, and excited to watch it unfold. Naj, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Caleb performs. He was really good in college in the red zone. That's one thing that I thought that I'm a big Michael Penix fan, and that's the one thing that he did better than Michael was his precise throws in the red zone for touchdowns that made USC's offense more potent than a lot of Division I football programs. And but he did turn the ball over a lot. He would fumble quite a bit, but that wasn't in the red zone. It seemed like he was in some kind of special zone in the red zone where he could really attack a defense real well and make precise throws on time. And he commanded the hurry up 2-minute offense, I thought, a lot better than say Justin Fields did. That's one thing that I would always struggle with watching the Bears offense last year is their sense of urgency going into halftime and at late in the game too when we were behind.
So you know, I was looking at Coach T's podcast earlier. I was up for whatever reason. That's not normally me. He was on pretty early, and I just
He
happened.
was in early.
And I've been trying to get in Coach T's chat, man, trying to support and trying to show some love to him, man. I finally caught one and got in there. Usually when he's on, you know, I'm usually doing some shit, you know, doing something that I need to be doing on my end and can't participate. And, you know, I got to jump in there earlier today, man. He was having some hell of a conversations about what it's going to look like for Caleb and what he expects, you know, what Waldron's going to tee up for. And here's where I think the conversation is going to get a little interesting because Coach believes that, you know, they're going to get an 11 and 12 personnel often. I mean, 12 and 13 personnel often. I think they're going to try that early. I think also what we've been saying on this show quite a few times, and I was listening to Shane Waldron at his presser today, and I think this is what I know. Okay, phase 1 installs. I've been a part of some camps. Even in high school, there's a camp. In college, there's a camp. It's not the NFL, but it kind of goes similar, you know. But here's what happens in phase 1 install. And so when you hear a player go out there and say, "Yeah, we were running routes on air," what does that mean? That means there was nobody in between he and the ball. So it's a quarterback, receiver, running back, whoever it is in that set, running routes and getting comfortable with what the quarterback wants and where he wants that receiver to be. And then later on during that practice, during phase 1, that's when you start seeing and hearing about the 7-on-7s and the 11-on-11s. And so what they were doing today was doing routes on air, running over that stuff that they've been going over with in their heads for weeks and months. They did it on air again, and then in front of the cameras, they did 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. What they're trying to figure out is, you know, how is he functioning? Talking about Caleb getting in and out of the huddle, up to the line of scrimmage, and running these plays and making the right calls at the line of scrimmage without any hiccups. And so, what do I mean by at the line of scrimmage? Is he killing a run play and getting into a pass play? Kill, getting into a run play after a pass play, or vice versa? Is he killing a pass play, getting into a run play? You know, that kind of stuff. And then how is the timing on those routes? You know, if he's under center and doing the pro style stuff with the 12 and 13 personnel, they want to see how cleanly it's coming off. And so there's a feel aspect to it. And so that's what they're figuring out right now. Is this going to be a dual situation for him? Is he going to be comfortable under center doing this? Or are we going to have to revert to him being in shotgun and doing the mesh concepts and doing that? A good coordinator is going to know whether or not this kid is comfortable doing what I'm asking of him versus am I asking too much of him and not getting him into stuff that really suits him and his strengths. And so I think that's where we are in phase one install. Come phase two, they're going to probably know whether they should add more of this or that in the install, whether we need to put more pro style sets in, whether we need to put more shotgun mesh concepts in at phase two. But this right now is an absolute experiment. Seeing how much he retained, seeing how much he can regurgitate and get up at the line, timing, all that kind of stuff. It's to see. And so I think that's what's going on today, kids, if you want to respond to that.
Dude, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I like how you sort of went through what the install is going to sort of look like for Caleb. To be honest with you, I hope to give him a decent amount of reps. That's really where my head is. I want him to get his head wrapped around all of this. And I think Waldron's he's gonna have an awesome plan for the kid moving forward. And I think it's going to rely on that quick game that we're talking about. So fingers crossed we get to see a little bit of that early into this preseason, but I doubt it. I think they're just going to get him to run through most of the verbiage and just get a feeling. I think that's really where they're going to want him, at least during the Hall of Fame game. It might get a little bit more frequent as they move forward.
It's about retention and being at the exploratory phase of what can we do with this kid with what he's retained. That's what I think, J2K. What do you think?
Well, as far as Coach T goes, I think Coach T is 100% right. He knows the game so well, and he's just talking about 12 and 13 personnel. So it's one running back, two tight ends, one running back, three tight ends. That's how that personnel is defined. And you saw it in Seattle, and you saw it statistically that, he ran the third most 13 personnel of any offensive coordinator for the last 2 years. You go and look at San Francisco. They've always got Juszczyk on the field, and they always got Kittle on the field. And, they're passing out of that 12 personnel look. And I see Waldron being, dedicated to the run game out of heavy formations. And then they're going to hit you with that quick pass. And that's what Caleb does so well. And I think that's a great combination. Unfortunately, I know everybody's excited to see Rome Odunze on the field. I think that will take some time. He'll have some limited opportunities. So I'm sure he'll take advantage of the opportunities, especially when we get into the red zone. I absolutely think that Rome should be a must start in that red zone formation. And yeah, I'm excited to see it all. I think it's going to kind of go down as Waldron has shown historically what he calls. I'm excited to see it. I think it's a good plan for a rookie quarterback to run the ball, play action over the top. Naj, what do you think about all that?
I'm just razzing Mr. Burr again. See him getting chippy. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about, Coach T, today. I gave him a nugget in Twitter or X. Still call it Twitter. I gave him a nugget in X. There is one Bears quarterback in the Hall of Fame. And that Bear quarterback for the Houston Oilers in 1961, 36 touchdowns, and his average yards per pass attempt per throw, regardless if it was completed or not, was 9.23 yards per pass throw. And that was George Blanda.
George Blanda. Okay. All right.
And if anybody's going to be in Canton at the Hall of Fame game, let me know what George Blanda entered the Hall of Fame, because usually they claim a team. I'm thinking he probably went in as a Raider, but maybe he went in as a Bear or an Oiler. I don't know. So if somebody could hit me up on Twitter and let me know that answer, because I haven't been in Canton, Ohio since I was 9 years old. So I have no idea.
Talking to a guy that's never been to that motherfucker. I ain't never seen Canton.
Really?
Yeah, I actually got a cousin that played ball over at damn, what is the name of that school over there? Over in that region. He was a nasty linebacker. I might have been Bowling Green. He got drafted, and I think I think he blew his ankle out, man, and his ankle was never right. He had some surgery on it, but my cousin was a monster, man, and he played at Bowling Green.
There's
Anyway,
some good football in the state of Ohio, that's for
yeah,
sure.
MAC conference, all that shit, man. That's where Bruce has his roots. I know for a fact that you don't look down on a school because it's not a Power 5 school. You don't. All you need is a really good coach and a really good system and people to buy in. And you give me those guys versus the best athletes in the world, and I'll kick your ass all over the place right out of the MAC conference. I'll tell you that much. But that's
the punter from my high school team. The punter got a full ride scholarship in the MAC, and his head coach, he went to Western Michigan. His head coach, Jack Harbaugh, the old man.
Oh wow, good shit, Notch. Good shit.
Yep.
Let me circle back to the comment I was making about being at Coach's show. I wasn't disagreeing with what Coach is saying because on film, it leads to exactly what Coach is saying. You're going to see 12, 13 personnel type stuff going on because, depending on how well your line is blocking, you might need 12 and 13 personnel more often than not just to protect your quarterback and get off in the run game. Go ahead, kids.
Yeah, man. And I actually wanted to ask J2K, but since you're bringing it up, is that the reason why Waldron was utilizing those particular packages as frequently as he was? Was it because their line was questionable?
More likely than not.
That's that's where my headspace is. And, I want to pose the question, do you guys see him using it as frequently here as he did in Seattle, given the potential of this offensive line?
The potential is one thing. Can they execute is another thing. What do you have as your emergency package to keep this quarterback clean? I think you saw some of that. I think J2K mentioned it a couple weeks ago. I think we were talking about that. Am I right, J2K? They had some offensive line problems in Seattle, and all of a sudden you start seeing all these hybrid, pass pro fronts out there with, 2 tight ends playing in the backfield type shit. Didn't you mention that?
Last year, yes, they did have a lot of injuries on the offensive line. The year before, not so much. So when you look at the year before, and that was kind of Geno Smith's coming out party, right? He still was just super heavy in 13 personnel. And in the offseason, they drafted that rookie Charbonnet running back. And so when the offensive line got injured, they had a couple injuries. He started loading up the backfield with tight ends. You get split tight ends on either side and a running back. And those formations weren't as common the year before, but the personnel grouping was just as common.
Yeah. It was new to me, but whenever you see stuff like that, I speak as a casual fan watching the game. I was just like, that's interesting. And then you get to thinking about it and you bring it up in the way kids just put it out there, and it makes you think, is he compensating for something?
I think he was, and I don't think their line was very good these last 2 seasons, right? That much. I'm talking about the line in Seattle. And it brings a name to mind, and I'm blanking out. We got a tackle or a guard from Seattle a year ago. Do you guys remember who that was?
Don't know.
It's like maybe not last year, maybe 2 years
Jermaine
ago. Jermaine Ifedi, my guy, the dude with the save. Thank you very much. Yeah, Jermaine came over here from that squad. That squad was hurting when they let him go, and kind of has been since. So I'm just not sure we're gonna see. I'm just not sure we're gonna see a situation where Romo Dunze is on the bench because they need protection. Or let me rephrase this one more time. I hope.
That's my guy. Be careful.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll knock on some wood here too. I hope that's not really what we have to resort to. I hope we can actually line all three of those wide receivers up and make defenses question who the heck we can actually double team on this field. Where do we slide protection or coverage to? I don't know. But
Kids, the good thing is all you have to do is watch I watched the presser today. I was able to get a couple of notes, but I watched the presser the day before and got a bunch of them. And so while I was watching the presser today, I didn't get as many as I wanted. But I paid attention to DeAndre Swift when he got up to the podium.
Oh, I miss Swift.
Some of the answers.
I missed that too.
Some of the answers to what you're saying is in his answers. And so go check out DeAndre Swift's presser. And he was impressed with the balance that the Bears want to use. Number one. Number two, I'd have to disagree with that whole thing about Romo Dunze. We may not see much of him. I don't think so, man. I don't
think so either.
I think from game to game, I think Romo Dunze is going to be out there early and often. He's drafted too high. He's gonna play a lot. I really do. I want to
see him. I want to see him return some of those punts. Yeah. That's what I want to see.
I think when you look at it, all you have to do is look at the matchup. All you have to do is look at the matchup, and sometimes that's more solving of those questions than anything. So let's just say week 1 against Tennessee. Who's our first game? Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Week 1 against Tennessee. Yeah. Let's just say you don't see a whole lot of Romo Dunze. They don't, they're missing their D coordinator. They might not be as vaunted as a defense as, let's just say, the next week's defense being Houston is. That defense can get after you in Houston. So do you see Romo Dunze being a big factor in week 1? I wouldn't say that I would bet that, because I think they're just going to try to handle Tennessee on the ground and try to pound those guys out for the most part. Let Caleb do a few things here and there and get to the next game, try to get to a win. But Houston, they're going to have to attack them in some spread situations to kind of level.
That could be a shootout game.
Yeah, it's just trying to get that defense on its heels. That is a fast, quick twitch defense that can really get after quarterbacks. And what do you do to counter that? You got a quick twitch quarterback that's got a laser rocket arm and a really fast arm, and that's how you beat blitzes and different kind of pressure packages. You get it out to your weapons, and so I see Romo Dunze playing a bigger role in that game. So what I'm saying is, I wouldn't say broadly that Romo Dunze is not going to play a lot. I'd look at it from game to game and look at it on that basis. How do you see him affecting the game in this game to the next game? Those two teams I just mentioned, Tennessee versus Houston. I'm pretty sure some people listening to my voice can imagine why Rome would be a little bit more important in that Houston game, right?
Well, I am going to say this. The Seattle Seahawks had the 29th ranked offensive line last season.
They had a lot of injuries, Cads, that offensive line last year.
Which speaks to wanting to protect the guy under center. You want to protect your quarterback. You'd like for him to, play the season out if at all possible. So you give him some extra protection. I'm just thinking here, maybe he might not be so tight end heavy when we go through this thing, right? Like that's really been the big question about Waldron. He likes to use tight ends. I think there was a reason why, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I think there was a reason why he likes to use tight ends, and that reason is he was working with the 29th ranked offensive line last season, which was riddled with injury. So if that's the case, hopefully we aren't an injury-riddled situation this season by way of offensive line, and if we're not, maybe we see a little bit less of those, those multi-tight end packages, which again would avail for Dunze to get on the field and do some damage. So I'm not completely lost to the whole 3 tight end situation. If the requirement is there, what's cool is that we have a guy who's savvy enough to go, hey, you know what? Like, we don't have enough protection here. Let's do the creative thing and give him the time he needs to actually throw the football. We haven't had that guy in a Bears uniform in a long time by way of a coach. So that's impressive to me. My question is, again, do we have the offensive line where maybe he doesn't actually need it? Go ahead.
Right.
J2K?
Yeah, I think, you can kind of look at Seattle's offensive line injury issues as kind of a reason for him running 13 and 12 personnel. But keep in mind, he comes from a system that runs 12 and 13 personnel, having a tight end, having 2 tight ends. Just go and look at what San Francisco does. Now, you go and look at what the Rams do with Sean McVay. Same system. He came from that system as well. And Sean McVay gets very creative. But when you start to look at how he is creative within that system, you still see those same kind of elements, right? Sean McVay, he's not a 3 wide receiver set kind of a guy, not 11 personnel. Neither is San Francisco. Seattle under Waldron, there's never been a 11 personnel set. They drafted JSN. Guy couldn't get on the field. Granted, early in the season, he was injured. But later in the season, he was still not getting on the field as much as he would have liked. He did come out and say so. And I think there's a lot of this post-draft hype that people are still riding this wave with Rome Odunze. And wide receivers take time. They simply do in the NFL. Oftentimes, you go look at a wide receiver's breakout year, it's their 3rd year in the NFL. Are we expecting Rome Odunze to break out 3rd game? That kind of sounds like the narrative from Bears fans right now. And I'm just saying that historically, that's not the case. And when you look at Waldron being a run-heavy 12 and 13 personnel usage guy, I just don't see how the maths up, right? So, and this is nothing to take away from Rome Odunze. Super talented, love the kid. The other thing too is, are you really taking DJ Moore or Keenan Allen off the field? If you're running 12 personnel to put in Rome Odunze early in his career, where maybe he doesn't run the route at the right depth, he doesn't settle in the zone as well as Keenan Allen doesn't get free in versus man the way DJ Moore does. And then you look at the tight end group. You've got Cole Kmet, you've got Everett, you got Mercedes Lewis. Waldron's looking at 3 veteran tight ends with all their own unique styles that he could just create such a dynamic offense based out of his historical performance and usage of the 13 personnel package, right? And if you're telling me that Rome Odunze is going to outplay all those concepts I just mentioned as far as what Waldron does, I don't see that. And it's nothing to take away from Rome Odunze. I'm just tempering people's expectation on playing time on Rome Odunze. Now, Naj, I know you're smiling. He's your guy. I know it. So let me have it.
No. Thanks for the fill up. I saw it in the chat with George Blanda being a Raider in the Hall of Fame. That's a good catch and a good input in the chat there. Appreciate that. Rome's always my guy. So I don't know what to say. I trust him wholeheartedly. He's by far the best wide receiver to ever come out of University of Washington, and maybe he could be John Ross. I don't know, but he was really fun to watch since his freshman year at UW, and he's just such a great speaker too. And I'm just really eager to see him thrive here on this Chicago Bears. Go ahead, Nomad.
Here's what I think is going on. I think with the addition of Shane Waldron and the talk of 12, 13 personnel and those groupings, Romo Dunze being a rookie, all of that with the rookie quarterback is I think that's a snowball that's gone downhill, and I think people are expecting that. I think what people are leaving out is that the really, really good coaches, they fucking morph from year to year. They're not the same coaches they were last year because they went back to the drawing board. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be that guy I was last year. That's on tape. I have to be something different this year. The really good ones, they do that. Andy Reid,
They self-scout themselves. Yeah.
yes. You don't go out there and give them the looks that they're expecting, right? You know, that's just being stubborn. That's just being stubborn. The really, really good ones are not going to look like they looked the year before. All that film out there and all these great football players, these are the best football players in the world with the best coaches in the world. They will eat your ass up. You have absolutely you've got to grow and you've got to morph into something. And see, here's where it gets different. You got to morph to your personnel. You don't have the same personnel you had in Seattle. You don't have the same offensive line situation you had in Seattle, for better or worse, right? You have this offensive line and these capabilities. You have these weapons, these three guys, and these capabilities. And so what do? You morph your game plan to fit that. And so what that's going to look like, to me, I think it's a puff of smoke in the air, and I can't wait to see it because nobody fucking knows. Not a motherfucker in the Bears podcast business knows what Shane Waldron is going to do. We have a lot of projection based on what he's done in the past. But if he's really good, we hope he is, he will not be the Shane Waldron he was last year. He'll be a little bit better and a little bit different and a little bit geared towards the personnel that he has. And so that's what I mean when I say I don't know what he's going to look like with Caleb Williams, Romo Dunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen, and those tight ends and these backs. I know what he looked like last year, but I wish he would come out here doing the same shit that he did that I seen on film. I'll eat his ass up as a defensive coordinator. Because when I see those sets, I know what to do. He's not going to be the same guy if he's smart, right?
Right.
You have to change. And so, you know, I understand what people are talking about, you know, based on that video and those, you know, that history. It's understandable why people rejected things a certain way. And so I just don't think he's going to come out with this team and be the same as he was in Seattle. I just don't.
You think that our tight end room is better than the one he had in Seattle?
That's a good question. I think they're a little more dynamic.
I think they're far better. I think he has a better 13 personnel package in Chicago than he ever did in Seattle.
I couldn't believe how we could get Everett. I had no concept. I did not see that acquire of him come to fruition during the offseason. I was flabbergasted that we were able to get him.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's like if Keds and I were opposing each other in the film room, he was a defensive coordinator ready to attack what I do, and all he has is a body of work to really lean into. Like if Nomad gives him this look, Nomad gives him that look, this is how we're gonna play that. The beauty about, and you hear coaches say this all the time. You hear Flus go to the podium and say this all the time. We're a different team every year. Coordinators have to be different coordinators every year. You can't go be that exact guy that you just shown on film. You get your ass eaten up on this level. You have to change and you have to morph. And so whatever we think about what Shane Waldron is going to do with Caleb Williams and these weapons, I think we're in for a surprise.
Really? Like Shanahan's been running 12 and 13 personnel predominantly his whole career. I understand this concept of, don't call the same exact play over and over again until, so teams pick up on it. But the
Like a screen.
personnel, for the personnel groups, I mean, these guys live their whole careers in this stuff.
So here's a better way to describe what I'm saying, J2K. So what does Detroit do well? They don't try to hide very much what they do. They come right at you.
Now make the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That too.
They're experts at it.
Yes.
But they come right at you. They let you know that we're lining up heavy. We're gonna put a heavy front up here, and we're gonna run the ball dead at your ass, right? And we dare you to stop it. When you have the offensive line to be able to do something like that, we don't know that we have the offensive line to really force our will like that. You know what I'm saying? So based on, again, your personnel, so what everybody's talking about is 12, 13 personnel, get really bully ballish and really get after it. We don't know that we have the offensive line to do that until we know we have the offensive line to do that. That's what I'm saying, J2K. Adjusting to your personnel. Do we have that team?
Well, look at San Francisco. I mean, they play a very finesse style offense out of 12 and 13 personnel. Same with Sean McVay. I mean, just going 3 wide receiver sets isn't an instant fix to a dynamic offense, right?
J2K, all I would say to you is, all right, this is why I was trying to put this up, and we were talking, and I had to take it down, trying to get to this. All right, so this is going to make an interesting conversation. All right, and we're going to go around the horn, you guys, and we'll start with kids. In this first game, just based off the personnel, that's on Tennessee, they're a different team than they were last year. They lost a coach, some players, and all that kind of stuff. They got a second-year quarterback, and you look at this team in a certain kind of way. And if you're the Chicago Bears offense, who would you peg on offense? How would you play this game? Would you be a run-heavy game, or would you be a pass-heavy game? And who would you target? So, like, right away, I think King Booker World or somebody in the chat said this should be a Cole Kmet game. And I definitely agree with that. So what say you, kids?
Well, I say Cole Kmet. I also say DeAndre Swift. It should be a run heavy game. I would keep the ball on the ground for the most part and see what happens. That's me.
What say you, J2K?
I just think in general, the best way to handle a rookie quarterback in game one is to run the ball. I would extend that. Like, we don't even have to go through all those teams. I just say that's pretty much what we're going to do through the season. And it's going to be forced upon Waldron and Caleb through the score, right? If we're behind, down in distance, time on the clock, that's going to push us into 3 wide receiver sets. But I think the base offense is going to come out of 13-12 personnel.
Go ahead, Naj. What do you think?
Definitely would run the ball. Use the speed backs primarily in a zone blocking scheme. See how that works off the bat. And if they start crowding the line a little bit, start playing that short passing game that we were talking about. Just do what you can. Stay get a good 3 to 5 yards on first down. Keep moving the chains. Keep the defense off the field, and should be a pretty good victory for us.
So right off the top, one thing I know about, and this is the legacy that old coach left behind. He built a really physical football team. And what do we brand ourselves as being? The same kind of team. So it's going to be a match of wills for the most part. And what are you going to do? You're going to see if you can dominate them in the trenches. On the offensive line, you see if you can move guys around. And absolutely right, Gary Franklin. Swift for sure, 100%. He's trying to say you give the ball to Swift, you give the ball to the backs, and you let them dictate the flow. You just lean on your offensive line, give your quarterback, make it an easy game for him. Roll them out sometimes, make them make some quick ones if you're going to play them under the center. You know what I mean? If you want to play a pro style of offense, this is probably a good team to do it to, because they're going to try to bully you if you don't bully them. And so I see the running backs and the tight ends being a real big piece of what they're doing here. I don't think I see a finesse game coming out of this matchup. So that's why I'm screaming about matchups and who plays and who do you circle as a player or two or three that can take advantage of the team that we're playing against that week. And so it's pretty clear that this team is going to try to bully you. They got a pretty solid defense. And so you have to bully the bully. And so that's how you play a team like Tennessee. And so, with Romo Dunze, this conversation was born out of a Romo Dunze conversation. Do I see Romo Dunze having a big game here? Not really. Not really. I don't. But this next game, here we go again. Let me get down here. Hold on. Wait a minute. I lost my schedule. This next game, Tennessee. Not Tennessee, but Houston. Now, before I take all of the every ligament of meat off this bone, kids, I'm going to pass it to you. Who do you say gets featured in this game and why?
Well, I'm going to kind of say Caleb Williams, right? I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but I'm going to say Caleb Williams. I think this is the game where you take the you take the training wheels off and you say, go do some stuff, kid, and we'll see what happens. That's just me. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be their game plan, but I'd take the training wheels off and let the kid have fun at the park. And if it results in a bunch of interceptions, that's fine too. I don't think anybody will care. I also wouldn't be mad if there's 45 passing plays in this game, and I don't remember who was saying it in the chat. I think it was John, but somebody was saying it in the chat. C.J. Stroud went out in his week one, threw up 45 times, and they almost won that game. I remember the game. They just lost it, and I think he kind of, acclimated to the speed of the game and what he could do right then and there. So maybe you take that opportunity and you let the kid go out there and hit some receivers.
My next question, kids, is why do you think that's you use your football chops here? Why do you think that's a game for Caleb? Give me a nugget there.
Because there's a bunch of reasons. There's a little bit of a rivalry here right now between the guy who set up a rookie record last season and the number one overall pick. I think there's just a little bit of a chip on the number one overall pick's shoulder, and he's going to want to go out there and compete and see what he can do. And that's my take on it. From a development perspective, it's really just to say, hey, look, we've got faith in you. Go out there. You have the weapons around you. Use them, and we'll see what happens. We'll chop it up at the end of the game. We'll see what happens. But I think they let him. I think they let him test the theory in game 2.
What say you, J2K?
Versus that pass rush?
So dangerous pass rush, yeah, it is.
That's a very, very good pass rush. So here's just globally, this is what I'm thinking is that, we've got an incredibly good defense, top 5 defense, in my opinion, arguably top 10, right? We've got a superstar punter who's going to change field position for us, going to maintain good field position for us. We've got a great tight end group. We've got, a questionable offensive line. When you dig into the stats, you do see we were number 1 or number 2 in running the ball the last 2 years, right? Which, you got to give Chris Morgan, that O-line coach, like huge props for that. That wasn't Getson, is what I'm saying. You look at statistically with Justin, he held the ball for 3.5 seconds, right? Offensive line was graded in the top 10 when you look at 2.5 seconds. They were graded in the top 10. So for me, I still see heavy run game, 12, 13 personnel. And it's a little odd to me that, some people are saying, no, let's put it on the shoulders of Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. Our two rookies. Like, that's not what Waldron's going to do. Waldron's going to say we're going to run the ball, maintain field position. Our defense is going to turn the ball over. They're just going to stop them. We're going to play to win the game, not to get, on Sports Center. Naj, what do you think?
Well, that's going to be our first road game of the season. It's also going to be on prime time. Is it a Sunday night game? The Houston game?
Good question. I don't know.
I think so.
I know it's I don't think it's a Monday night game, but I know it's a road game. It's on prime time. And that just makes me intuitively think that our defense is really going to have to win that game for us, and our special teams both. Going to need a big game from Montez, big game from TJ Edwards. I got to say both our safeties, Bard and Brisker, they got to bring their lunch pails full to the gill for that game, and get us a good road win. That would be an epic start for us.
So here's the way. Just sitting in and this goes back to high school too. Sitting in high school, it was very limited then, but I got a bigger taste of it when I was in college. Sitting in meetings and sitting in film rooms and film sessions and getting a sense of how coaches evaluate their opponent, right? And so how they evaluate their opponent is, first thing they do is look at the opponent and look at what they like to do, right? First thing they want to do. And then they let's just say I'm the defensive coordinator of the Texans. So you expect them to be looking at us like, okay, this is what I expect them to do. But they're not going to do what I expect them to do. They're not going to do what I expect them to do. And so how would they attack us? Where are the strengths? How could they attack us? Where could they, find an opening or an avenue to take advantage of us? What are their strengths? They have a quarterback with a really quick release. They have a couple of 2-3 good running backs that they can really pound us. I don't know about their defense. Their offensive line. And so, how do I want to attack them? Do I just want to pin my ears?
O-line's good too.
Do I want to really pin my ears back because we have a rookie quarterback back there? Or does this rookie quarterback really have the ability to burn my ass if I try to go Doberman Pinscher on his ass and really get after him? This is the kind of shit that coaches say when they're matching up, when they're sizing up the matchup they're dealing with that week. And so by game 2, if Caleb has put on tape that he can identify, okay, here, I see a pressure coming from over here, and I'll light your ass up with my quick release right behind your ear. If he shows that week 1, that's going to show up in their game film, and they're going to be like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna rush to stop the run." So you pass rush in order to stop the run because they might get in the mesh package and run DeAndre Swift right past that guy that's trying to come around the edge. That's how coaches match up, and they evaluate those matchups. It's week to week. So everything they saw in the offseason is one thing. After that first game, if Caleb shows some tendencies, they're going to take that in consideration. If he doesn't, then they might pin their ears back like Doberman Pinschers and come right after his ass and make him do things. So that's just the way I see that playing out. It just depends on how fast Caleb acclimates himself to this offense, how fast Shane Waldron gets him up to speed. Now, I don't think in any way whatsoever they will have a formula for success after week 1 or 2. I think they'll be still finding that by then. So by game 3, we're going to go one more game here. By game 3, we're looking at the Indianapolis Colts, kids. Who in the world, how would you, if you're the offense, who would you circle as a guy that, okay, we want to feature him today?
Against the Colts.
It's in Indy too. Back-to-back road games.
I'm like, to me, it all depends on what happens in the first 2 games, and I kind of see where you're going. So in game 1, if we run the ball and we have success, awesome. If game 2, and the way that I see game 2 is a little bit different, I think our defense matches up well with their offense, except their offense is very powerful. I think the other side of it is kind of a wash too. I think it's just going to wind up being a shootout with Houston. If we're looking at the following game, I think you kind of look at the results of either of those 2 games and you make a judgment call. But by and large, we should be running the football for the better part of the year 2024. I'll be honest about that. But you have to give the kid the opportunity to try to be Superman in those situations when you need to have a Superman. And if he's able to actually step up to the plate and own it, that's different. That's the thing we've been missing. And now you could take that into account when you're going up against any other team. So I don't expect the game against the Colts to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. I expect us to win that game handily, running the football. I'll be honest with you. So I'm going to put it right back in the hands of DeAndre Swift, unless Caleb Williams is lights out week 2.
J2K.
I'm going after those linebackers and the safeties with the tight ends and Swift coming out of the backfield. So I think that we are going to establish a heavy run game, and I think we'll maintain that heavy run game. But I think this game, I think we've got a little bit better matchups of our tight ends, Swift, against the linebackers and the safeties.
What say you, Naj?
Well, between the 2 teams, Houston and Indy, I like Indy's defense a lot more, but I like Houston's offense more than Indy's. But I think Indy's an interesting team because we're going to see Richardson again, and he's gonna want to define himself just as much as Caleb wants to define himself. So it's going to be an interesting game to see which offense opens up first, because I could see a blowout in this game if one of those 2 quarterbacks gets hot. I hope it's both, because I like both quarterbacks, and I want the Bears to win, obviously. But that is a very intriguing game for me. And again, it's a road game. It's a noon game. It's not a night game. So I want to say our defense should be ready. Our special teams should be ready. And we should get the dub in this game.
All right. So how I see this playing out is, I would say, and I'm still going to say, the first person you circle in this matchup is Flus, right? Not because he's a head coach, and only because he was a defensive coordinator over there. So I expect Flus to go poke his head in that offensive film room and start talking. Why? Because a lot of the major pieces that Flus left behind are still on that defense. Who knows their weaknesses better than Flus, right? Who knows their weaknesses better than Flus? You still got what's his name, number 23. You still got 99. You still got what? Let me think of his number. 96 or 90. You got 90, 99. You still got 23 dogs. You still got 34 back there. I don't know their names right off the top of my head, but these are key pieces to their defense. Talking about the nickel, talking about the 3 tech, you're talking about the 1 tech, talking about their free safety. they have pieces that are stable pieces that Flus helped to kind of raise out there and kind of develop. Flus knows what to do to that defense. And I'm kind of leaning to what J2K was saying. And so you set up routes that go behind the make the running back, the linebackers run for the most part. Play stuff, do layered routes over their heads and behind them and make them make choices. Put them in conflict and keep that situation, pretty steady throughout the whole game. So I would expect a tight end matchup, several tight ends, so 2 and 3 tight end sets. Get some running backs coming out of the backfield and really make those run backers get running left and right or horizontal. So I think that's how you beat a fast, aggressive team is you make them run horizontally and you wear them down. From a guy that played in the 4-3 defense in high school and in college, I know that's a big, big, big factor on a team that plays a one gap, get aggressive, get up, get downhill, and kind of get after teams. Play an aggressive style of a 4-3. How do you neutralize that? You use their speed against them. You make them run. And you wear them out. And by the time that you're talking about the middle of the third quarter, you sucking air. Those linebackers are sucking air, and they ain't hitting you with the same pop. That piss and vinegar, it ain't there no more. The defensive line, hands on the hips. And so J2K, I think, is on point there. I think you lean and I think you target your linebackers and you kind of layer routes in and behind them, put them in conflict, send a route in front of them, send a route behind them, and make linebackers make choices. I hate to even say this shit, but that's the way to stop an aggressive 4-3 defense with a base package out there of 2 linebackers. But J2K, if you want to respond to that, go right ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hit the seams with the tight ends once they try to start coming that, hit Swift on a Texas route, right?
I think the Indy game is a little bit. I don't think their corners are as good as Brian. I think Brian said that earlier in the chat. I don't think their corners are as deep as they were at corner as they used to be when Flus was there, and they seemed like 30 freaking corners on that team. And so, what did I do all that for? I went through the exercise of, instead of trying to anticipate, what Shane Waldron is going to do with this offense and how many times he's going to let Caleb, get under center, get in shotgun and run mesh packages, how many times he's going to throw it to Rome Odunze or not. All that shit, is pure speculation. I can understand where people get the projections from, but it is really and truly from game to game. Who do you have healthy? Who do they have? Who do we have? We have that we're running against. Who do we see as their weakness? Do we see their corners as a weakness? Do we think their safeties have range? Do we think Rome Odunze can take advantage of this guy? Do we think DJ can? Do we think Keenan? So it's all about the matchup. Styles make fights. Matchup makes fights. You can't go into that thing assuming, okay, we're going to run 13 personnel the whole. No, we're not going to do that. We would like to. If they would let us, we would do that. But the truth is, you got to be multiple. And you got to have variations to whatever you're doing. And you can't be the same as you was last week. Period. Point blank. And that's just how it's going to be. I think Shane Waldron is going to, if he's smart, and like I know he is, he won't be the same coach as he was last year. Not with this personnel because it's different. What say you, kids?
Honestly, man, he's got a completely different team. He's got a much better O-line. I think he can be multiple with it. He has the opportunity to be creative. I think he will relish that opportunity. I just can't wait to see it, man. That's kind of where I'm at.
Go ahead, J2K.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to the system that he comes from and he runs. I think he's going to stay true to the Shanahan coaching tree and the concepts that come out of that. And that tends to be more often 12 and 13 personnel.
What say you, Naj?
Which game are we on now? I forget.
Yeah, we got like 18 of them.
We're still in the Colts?
Yeah. Yep. We were just talking in general about all of it put together. Why you can't really.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like kind of what you were saying a little bit earlier, Nomad, about you just got to kind of just take what the defense gives you. You've got all kinds of weapons on this offense, so it's kind of what I was getting at earlier too about being hot. Just play the hot hand. If they're gonna be afraid of Rome Odunze and start playing cover 3 and stuff like that, start running the ball a little bit more. If they start coming in the box, throw it deep, man. We got all kinds of weapons. Take what the defense gives you. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. And I want to see Shane Waldron, and by this time, the 3rd game of the season, I want to see how he adapts to the talent on this team. What he does at halftime to make us put up more points the second half. I'm tired of us having the lead on games that we should have won when we weren't aggressive enough. There's like 2 or 3 games that come to my mind. The first Minnesota game, definitely the Denver game come to mind, where if we would have just been a little more aggressive on offense, we would have gotten 2 more wins or 3 more wins that season. And throw in the Detroit game. We should have won that one too. Both of them. We won the second one, but we had them on the ropes in the first one that was in Ford Field. So I want to see good coaching from Shane Waldron this season. And that would be, to me, a staple game for him by the 3rd game of the season.
So I'm going to say something real funny. But first, I'm going to give Don and the Lions a little credit, because the truth is they're the NFC North champs. And we gotta go take it.
Wait a minute.
We gotta go take it, man.
They were the NFC North champs.
They are until we take that shit. And we're on that path. We're on that hunt.
I disagree with you, man. September 1st.
I do too.
New
a little
league
bit.
Season. It's a new league season. Everybody's at a 0. So yes, the Lions won. I will salute them for being the kings of the North. But that ends at September 1st. Just remember that, everybody. September 1st, there will be a new king.
Hey, kids, let me tell you.
And 28 to 13 at Soldier Field has something to say about it too last season.
True competitors, let me tell you something. True competitors, when you become a competitor at the highest level and you're there to win everything you try to compete in, you learn to respect your opponent. You learn to respect them. I respect Detroit, even though we kicked y'all's ass twice, Don, knotted y'all's ass up. Y'all got away with one in Detroit that you shouldn't have got away with, and we own y'all's ass. If any team in the NFC North has y'all number, it's us. Promise you that. Number one, respecting your opponent, meaning this is, the Detroit Lions can be a little bit predictable. Why? Because they have the players in the trenches to do it and be able to get away with it. If you can't stop them on the ground, they can do whatever they have in the trick bag game plan to do. They have in mind to do to you. You have to establish that you can stop them on the ground first. Once you can do that, you're good. But what I mean by that is, we haven't established that yet. And what we're doing is getting ready to go out and establish that. And that, if it's just like this, I'm going to take you to a hood point of view. And so when you can be like the Detroit Lions and predict and kind of send out flyers of what you're going to do to a team, you better be bully enough when you get around that corner to stop the bully that's trying to stop you, right? In the hood. If you're going to leave a pattern of behavior and a path that you're going to be on, and you got something that somebody might want, you better be ready to protect it. And so right now they have an offensive line that can do that. We don't know that yet. And so what you do is you start being predictable and getting into those packages that are real easy to kind of diagnose. that bully around the corner is waiting with a bag of nickels to bust your ass upside the head. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So, are we in a space to where we can be predictable? I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, I think, and I hope that doesn't happen, but I think Plan B for this team, Kaz, is if the pro style stuff, if the pro sets aren't really working well for Caleb, and we're not executing quite the way that we want to out of these sets that everybody's talking about, 12, 13 personnel, extra tight ends, and doing all that kind of stuff. If it's not working well, what's your plan B? He's very good out of mesh packages, isn't he? In shotgun. And 2, 3, and 4 wide receivers, maybe 5. That's what we don't want to see. It's a college style game that people don't think is successful in the NFL. But if that's where he is comfortable, what do coaches have to do? Try to find ways to make his rookie quarterback comfortable. So you put him in sets to help him come up and kind of come along. That's where I'm getting at. Don't be surprised if you start seeing that if he struggles.
Well, yeah, they should sprinkle some of that in. I think they should sprinkle it in throughout the season, but I wouldn't suggest that they revert to that type of stuff if the other stuff ain't working. That's kind of where I'm at. I think that might be a big.
Saying don't be stubborn. You know what I mean?
I know, just and I'm kind of agreeing with that don't be stubborn. Idea. Like I fully agree with that, but at the same time, he has. We don't. It's funny, man. We don't really know what we got in Shane Waldron. What we know is what we've seen, and what we've seen so far is again 12, 11, 13 personnel. That's basically what we've seen. We've seen.
We also know, Kaz, we also know that we have a history of being stubborn when it comes to quarterback and trying to fit square pegs into round fucking holes.
This is where I was getting there the long way, but you cut me in there easy. Like
sorry,
that.
Man, I apologize, my brother.
No, don't. You did it short, sweet, and succinct, and that's really what I was trying to say. I just hope this guy is creative enough to be able to adjust. And some of the folks, some of my Raiders friends out there, we chop it up and we're talking about how they're doing, and I don't know how they're gonna do with a Luke Getsy over there, right? Like, we know what he doesn't do well, and that's very specifically adjust to anything that a defense might throw at him. He doesn't do that. He made the script yesterday, and that's what we're playing. We're working off the script today. Next week we'll use a different script, but as far as adjustments, we have nothing. I expect Shane Waldron to have something in his back pocket for situations like that. That's really where that's where I think he's going to be very different than what we've seen these last eight seasons. I think it's going to be quite a bit of a different situation.
So JTK, I don't know when you dropped off. We were talking about, just trying to, not being stubborn as a coordinator. And if certain things aren't working for the quarterback that we have, and we always bitch about, the quarterbacks that we've had, just trying to stick a square peg in a round hole, trying to force him to be something that he isn't. When we talked about this when Coach was on here, when do you get to a point where, all right, this isn't working out so well for him, let's get into more of the sets that he likes? When do you reach that point?
Yeah, I think I look at Shanahan and McVay, come from the same system, Shanahan offense. McVay's a little more innovative than Shanahan is. I think Shanahan kind of, he's lucked out because he's had Kittle. What's that?
I agree with that. My fault. I was just agreeing with
you. He's kind of lucked out because, they got Juszczyk, which is a rare type of player at fullback, and they have George Kittle, who is just an incredible.
I got to reboot.
Tight end.
Go ahead, J2K.
Now McVay, he's he's a little more dynamic. He hasn't had that kind of fullback tight end combination, but there's some stuff on YouTube that I would definitely recommend checking out. How McVay used Puka Nacua and how dynamic he was in the run game. They had him on motion going up the B gap to make a block on a safety. And from that,
my fault. I couldn't. I got Tourette syndrome. I couldn't help it. Motion.
What's that?
Motion. That's how they pull that shit off.
Right.
But go ahead.
Yeah. My point being is that out of this run formation and Puka going up the B gap, it then became a play action where the safety's like, I keep seeing this big wide receiver come at me and putting blocks on me. And I know he's coming to put another block on me, and he settles down to take on the block, and it's a pass play, and Puka just cuts right off of it, is wide open. And what's so interesting is, and I'm talking specifically about this one package on YouTube that I watched of them breaking down all this McVay stuff, is, there was 5 run plays and 5 pass plays with this one concept. And McVay was so dynamic off of this. And it is still the Shanahan offense. He just found this very creative way to use a very talented player to, get the ball to him. And I'm hoping that I see that side of Waldron. I saw a little bit of that with his tight end formations last year. I know the creativity is there, and I'm very curious to see how it plays out this year. Granted, I still think he's going to be creative out of 12 and 13 personnel more often than 11 personnel. But I do think there is potential for this guy to pull some tricks out of his bag.
So how do you even get to be able to execute in the way that McVay was able to execute with Puka Nacua, doing the stuff that J2K is talking about, pulling them in motion, popping them into the B hole and cracking open holes, and when he doesn't crack open a hole, he splits out and kind of slips off into a route and gets wide ass open. How do you do that? One of the beautiful things I will be able to report to you guys is I'm listening to Romo Dunze when he's at the presser. And that was one of the emphasis. That was an emphasis of his to explain that to the reporters, that he's willing to do whatever they need him to do. And if that is cracking and getting blocks and doing that kind of stuff, he's more than willing to do it. So A+ to that statement, J2K, because I see that in Romo Dunze might be, part of the reason why he was coveted as a prospect coming out of the draft anyway. The size, Romo Dunze is a big dude, so he's got that ability to be able to be used in those kind of concepts, and that kind of plays into what Romo Dunze can do. When you don't do that, you kind of fade and slip out into a route, and bam, wide ass open, whether or not the ball is on time or not. If it's up and over his head, he can go get it. And so those kinds of things that J2K just described plays into the Bears' favor. You've got a guy that's willing. You have to have a guy that's willing. You have to have guys that are willing to block and do all those types of things in order to pull off some of the stuff that you're talking about in McVay's type of system. You've got to have willing blockers at the receiver. If you don't, it's Sean McVay's shit doesn't look like a whole lot of nothing if he doesn't have willing blockers as receivers. That's why the shit works. That's exactly why the shit works. When you got a receiver that'll go out there and try to take your head off and chip the shit out of you, then you got a different kind of a game plan that you can kind of design up and scheme up, because you can play off of all that stuff. J2K is absolutely right here, and I'm agreeing with him. However, I'm still leaning into the fact that, and this is the whole reason we're having this football conversation tonight, you guys. And by the way, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this conversation and this content is worth something to you, if it meant something to you, this conversation that we had, hit the subscribe button. hit the like while you're doing that, man, because I believe that we're hitting some nuggets here tonight that I think everybody can take home and really, really think about, because we all have these expectations of what we think Shane Waldron is and what he's going to be here in Chicago. And I think, I'm not saying temper your expectations. What I'm saying is be more multiple in your expectations. Think a little bit outside the box, because he is absolutely not, if he's a wise offensive coordinator, not going to look the way he looked last year and all that stuff we've seen on film. You see variations of it. You'll see that right out in front of your face at times. You know, you'll see some of those plays that he thought were effective. But in order for him to be really good at his job, he's going to have to come out and be new. And so that's all I'm saying here. And that's what this conversation is about, is so that we don't get so wrapped up into a singular way of thinking that, you know, Shane Waldron is going to be this. Romo Dunze is going to be that. Caleb Williams is going to be this or that. We don't know exactly what they're going to be. They're finding out what their formula is going to be now, literally as we speak. Tonight, they went home with some plays in that playbook that they want to install next week and say, get your eye on this. Get ready to call this. Get ready to put in this set. And let's see how this is going to look. It could have Tyler Scott doing some stuff that we don't expect. It could have Velus Jones. It could have all kinds of people. It could have Cole Kmet running some freaking wildcat. We don't fucking know what they're going to do. And I'm glad we don't. It makes it more interesting and it makes it more fun to anticipate, right? That we don't know what we're going to get, right? Isn't it more fun that we don't know what we're going to get, but we think we know what we're going to get? You know what I mean? So that's the fun part about it. And that's the whole point of the conversation tonight, is to not to temper your expectation, keep your expectations high, but be out of the box in your mindset about what you think they might do on the field. Shane Waldron is very crafty. And if I'm him, with these weapons that I have and this personnel that I have, I'm trick bagging the shit out of people just to keep the pressure off my quarterback, right? Wouldn't you, kids?
For sure. Right? I just want to keep the kid upright, protect him, do what you got to do. That's why I'm not like. That's why I'm sort of stuck in the middle between both angles of this conversation, right? Like I understand why Waldron is going to want to do the things he's going to want to, like, that he's done in the past, and I also hope that we're not in a situation where we're questioning whether we can keep Caleb Williams upright. He needs to be upright. You know, the flip side to all this is I also need this guy to be very dynamic, and I just hope we have the right coordinator. But strangely, like I feel optimistic about this entire season. I think we do have the right coordinator. I think he's going to pull the right elements out of that Shanahan-McVay situation and execute them this coming season. I have to temper the world and say that, yeah, we've got a rookie quarterback, guys. Like that's what we have. He's a rookie. It's going to take him a little while to acclimate and figure things out and get used to, you know, the situations around him. But with these weapons, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but probably a heck of a lot easier than it's ever been for anybody that's worn a Chicago Bears uniform and has played, you know, as a rookie. That's for sure. So
you're saying more or less that in certain games, depending on the matchup, we need more buy-in from different guys. Like if the game plan isn't designed around you, been in these rooms, know what this kind of looks like. We need buy-in from you this week on this game plan because it doesn't feature you. So when Rome isn't featured, Keenan isn't featured, DJ isn't featured, do we have that buy-in in order to do the Puka Nakua stuff that J2K is talking about?
I don't think that's going to become an issue as far as
buying. I don't either.
Right, like buying was like, let's be like factual. Buying was a straight up concern last season. There's no questions there. Chase was not bought in to his role. No questions.
I don't blame him. Shit, be honest.
I don't necessarily blame him either, but at the like, you know what? You know what? I do blame him. Like, he's a 6'3" big body wide receiver, and they're asking him to block, and he's got problems with it. So, like, yeah, you know, I have a little bit of a problem with that. I have much less of a problem with the Darnell Mooney having a problem with being the blocking wide receiver for the Chicago Bears last season. That to me is a problem waiting to happen, and Darnell should be upset about it.
He was in a contract year too, kid. Throw that in.
And that makes matters even worse, right? Like thanks for throwing that out there. That makes matters even worse. How am I supposed to get my numbers when I'm blocking all day? That just adds to the frustration. I don't think we're really like just looking at who these wide receivers are. They ain't asking DJ Moore to go block. I'm just saying. He probably will, but they really ain't asking him to do that. They're likely not going to put a whole lot of blocking responsibility on Keenan Allen. Very doubtful. So that comes down to whoever the number 3 wide receiver is. And in this case, it's a guy who seems to be willing to do the darn thing as far as whatever that darn thing is that they're asking him to do, right? Like, he's completely open-ended. I'll go out there and I'll do whatever you guys need me to do. Perfect. And then you think about the few other guys behind Rome Odunze, and a couple of those guys can block as well. So I'm not really worried about that buy-in piece on this particular offense. I think there's enough for everybody to eat. To be just considering the conversation, the personnel situation makes me worry a little bit, because I worry that there's going to be situations where, as that number 3 wide receiver, he just leaps and bounds better than the other guy who's lining up across from him. And if that's the obvious mismatch, why sacrifice it for scheme? But
we're talking about buy-in, J2K. When you want to get off some of that Puka Nacua shit you're talking about, you need guys that buy in and willing to execute those plays.
Oh, I think the buy-in is huge for this team. I think Poles, it starts at the top. Poles has drafted the guys who are willing to buy in. I think Eberflus, you saw even in that first year, the total rebuild year, the teardown year, not even a rebuild year, teardown, the guys were hustling. They were fighting. They weren't talented enough to win, but that didn't stop them from having heart to play the game. And you look at the veterans we brought in to this team, they're all guys that buy in. I think, if anything, that's one of the biggest exciting things for this team. It's not even just individual players, it's collectively the entire team, how much they all buy into their individual job to make the team better, right?
Right. Yeah. What say you about this buy-in thing? I do think we do have the guys that are exactly what we need in order to check that box, and you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. All you gotta do is call the play, they'll execute. What do you think about that, Naj?
Oh, I definitely do. This I think you're taking it. You're talking about the wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the best wide receiver room that I can think of that the Bears have had my whole lifetime, and I'm 60, so none of them are selfish. I can see all of them blocking, even Keenan Allen. They're large men. They want to win. And I was thinking today, Keenan Allen in that huddle, I mean, he's going to be probably one of the more older players. And, you know, I would think if I'm Rome Odunze or DJ Moore and I'm in that huddle, I'm going to make an extra effort to win a game, win a Super Bowl for Keenan Allen, because he's kind of like on the lower end of the hill, and that galvanizes a team when you have a guy balling like Keenan Allen balls at his age. It kind of gravitates the room, and everybody wants to up their ante, if you will. So I don't think it's a room that's going to say, give me the ball, give me the ball. Oh, and then the other thing is, I want to mention this because I don't know if you guys know this, but Puka Nacua began his college career at University of Washington. So Rome Odunze's freshman year, the two of them were teammates. So Puka Nacua was pretty much a role model for Rome Odunze his freshman year.
That is true. Another interesting tidbit. I'm pretty sure that Puka Nacua was trained in high school, if I'm correct, by none other than Luke Getsy, strangely enough.
All right. Omit that that comment from the whole goddamn podcast.
Leave that off the show.
We'll leave that right on alone, man. But here, listen, this whole conversation, again, I wanted to bring up these things, and I didn't know I was going here. Like I told you guys, I didn't have any notes, didn't have time to do all that kind of stuff because we were dealing with some technical stuff going on in the background. But we ended up here, and as we were into this conversation, I wanted to make sure I made sure I crossed a couple of T's and dotted some I's. But we ain't having the right conversation unless we at least bring this up once. And that is our defense and its effect on the way Caleb Williams will perform come week 1. It is an absolute blessing. And I don't think any of this was by happenstance, man. I think this is all designed. I think that they intended, and I'm going to stand on this with 10 toes. I think Kevin Byard is the key. He and Jaquan Brisker are the key to whether or not Caleb Williams gets better and is ready for game 1. And the defensive coordinator, how they call this. And all you have to do is listen to Kevin Byard, listen to Jaquan Brisker, listen to Flus talk about this kind of stuff. How do we get this kid better? It's you show him things that he is absolutely going to see game 1. And if that means mix up the coverages, disguise them, roll intentional coverage towards DJ and things like that, and take him off the map, then you do that. And what does that do? That prepares him for game 1. And so if there was ever an opportunity for a rookie quarterback with these kinds of weapons on offense to get better and be prepared for a game 1 than the one we have right now, I don't know of one. This is the perfect storm. And some people are out there saying that, practice could be a better situation than what he's going to deal with in the game, in these preseason games. Why? It's because he sees ones all day. And they're gonna try to fuck him over from his tiptoes all the way up to the last hair follicle. They're gonna try to trip him up and make it difficult for him, and they should. He is getting the absolute best training in the world right now. You might say San Francisco defense, you might say Philly's defense, you might say a couple of other teams, Kansas City's defense could give him a better
Notre Dame.
But he is in good fucking hands. He said Notre Dame. He is in good fucking hands.
He did not have a good game against South Bend. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that was not a good game.
Oh, you brought it up, man. That's the truth is, if there's ever a game 1 preparation situation built for a rookie quarterback, he's in it right now. He's in the perfect storm. He's in the perfect storm, and that defense right now, they're teaching him is what they're doing, but they're not. They don't have any brakes on, and I'm glad they don't. But at some point, they're gonna have to put some brakes on and take it easy and let him see some things. And I've been saying that from the beginning because I seen you choked up, about ready to say something. Go ahead.
I ain't choked up. I was really just thinking about Matt Eberflus and his presser because he really leaned into what you're talking about, right? Like he really did. He was super happy with the way that both sides of the ball have been performing against each other. And he's like, just the level of competition is super high, and that's what his expectation is, and he hopes that it gets even higher. And that should pull the best out of not just the Chicago Bears defense, but also Caleb Williams and the offense as a whole. So that was really something he influenced quite a bit during his last 2 pressers since Friday. There's been 2. He seems to be in a really good, Flus seems to be in a good place with respect to what he's seen these last couple of days. I know we haven't gotten too deep into training camp, but he seems to be in a good place. He's appreciating what his players are putting out there on the field. And I think, again, having a defense like we do, and then, looking at some of the teams you just listed there, San Francisco being one, rookie quarterback Brock Purdy, he comes out, plays pretty well last season. I think everybody can agree with that. Another guy on the list that you were just talking about is a Jalen Hurts. That young man basically went to the Super Bowl with the defense that's on the other side, and they were a pretty solid defense at the time. There's no question. There's also good old Kansas City, right? You want to have a defense like Kansas City's had over these past few Super Bowl winning seasons to test a young man like Patrick Mahomes and help him grow into the guy that he is today. And then you look at the flip side of all this, and you look at the defensive situation in Carolina last year.
Right.
And unfortunately, you kind of wind up getting what you get. Now, that does also have a lot to do with the existing offensive help that was beside Bryce Young, that was playing alongside him last season. But again, that defense would probably help him out just as much. I expect good things. I think bringing a guy who can, bringing a guy here like Kevin Byard will really help. And I think you nailed it. I think Kevin Byard very specifically will really help Caleb Williams grow.
What say you, J2K?
Can you rephrase the question or ask the question again?
Well, it was more of Caleb Williams being in the perfect storm for a rookie with the weapons that he has and being prepared for game one. And I was talking about how teams like Kansas City, great defense, Philly, great defense, San Francisco, great defense. He's in that category of a defense and being prepared for week one. And he's talking about how well Brock Purdy performed after dealing with that defense in freaking training camp, versus Jalen Hurts. He was going down that line. And I just really think I said that before I passed it to kids that I thought that all of this was intentional, getting these pieces, and knowing that they were going to draft a rookie quarterback. We know now that they knew they were going to draft a rookie quarterback. And what do you do to get that rookie quarterback prepared? Give him the worst defense that you can put against him and have him prepared for week one. I think we have that scenario going on right here in Chicago.
Well, I think the end result, I agree with. I don't see how they knew that they were going to get Caleb Williams.
I do.
Until they had the number one pick this year. So I don't see the foreshadowing of, we're eventually going to move on from Justin, and
they knew it at some point. J2K.
The Houston Texans are going to make a last-minute touchdown pass that's going to, get us the number one pick, and then trade it to Carolina, and then Carolina's going to be the worst. It's too much luck involved to know where we would be now. Now, fortunately, we are in this position now where Poles did make a point of rebuilding the secondary first. And I was critical of Poles that I felt that when you rebuild a team, you do it inside out. You don't do it outside in. And, we're looking at, question marks on the offensive line. We want another defensive end to round out our D line. Some people are saying we still don't have a true 3 tech, but I disagree. I think Dexter is that guy. But for sure, he did target the DBs as far as rebuilding that group. And now, without the conspiracy theory, but now it's so fortunate that we did get that number one pick, that we were able to draft Caleb Williams and have him face this kind of a defense, this kind of a secondary, because the windows are smaller. The decision making needs to be quicker. safeties are going to try to bluff him, get him off his game and stuff. And it is a great situation for Caleb Williams. Still, I think that to win, game in and game out, it's going to be reliant on the defense and field position, not turning the ball over, not forcing Caleb Williams to constantly be the hero or pass 30 to 40 times a game. I don't see that as the playbook to winning with the strengths of this team.
What? Go ahead, Notch.
Just win, baby. That's all I got to say. Anyway, anyhow, we got all kinds of weapons. Like I was getting at before, rely on the defense in some of these road games. Want to give a few more quick shout outs because we haven't in a while. Just a few shout outs in the grass. John, you've been bringing it. You're a big time Roma Dunze fan like myself. One guy I hadn't seen here for a while is Illinois. What's his last name? Illinois Jones.
Yep.
Thanks for coming back. Good to see you here, Brian. You got some great input. Keeping your seat warm here. Hopefully, we'll see you on Tuesday. I only got enough energy to do this about every 2 weeks, so it's been real. It's been fun. Kendra Vision, good to see you. AC Adam, good to see you also. And in the grasp as well. So, and Aunt Maz, as always, good to see you, my friend. And King Booker World, John, again, even Mr. Burr. Good to see you all here and bringing that energy. And it's been real. Go ahead, Nomad.
No, I appreciate that. And you just pointed out to me and say, hey, it's time to wrap this thing up. We've been on here for 2 hours, almost pushing 2.5 hours. People got shit to do. And we got to wrap it up. And I just want to emphasize this, man. I want to emphasize this. This conversation is so necessary to the Bears fan base and all these people in this community that want and have all this anxiety about what is what going to be. I think all of it, every bit of the conversation we had today was worth having because, I think the expectations, I think people get things in their head. They start thinking that this is the way things are going to be and this is the only way it needs to be. And if it's not that way, then we need to rebel and start raging and being fucking assholes when it comes to the Chicago Bears. I'm saying to this, pause. Let these guys come up with their formula that wins. If it's not quite the way that you have it thought up in your head, and when it's not going the way that you have it thought up, let it be. You don't know what they have in the deck. I'm talking about backing off as a fan, and I'm a fan just as much as anybody in this chat is. Back off and let these dudes manifest what they have in mind for these guys that they have on this roster and not be so overly, let's just say you don't, sometimes you can think something and the best thing you can do is keep it to yourself at times. Because sometimes when you let out the your worst of your instincts, it comes out fucked up. And people don't like you when you do that kind of thing because it's really adding pressure to a situation that doesn't need it. Trust me, inside that building, it's very pressurized. They know it. We know it. They don't need us from the outside pounding them. They don't. They need time to manifest this shit that they have cooked. And how it comes out, I think we should be all right if we give them time to create the meal. They've got the seasonings. They've got the pans, the pots. They've got the food, the actual product to make the meal. What do we have to do? Watch the fuck out and let them cook. Quit being overly critical. Quit being overly expecting things and just let's see what it is. And then have an assumption as to what they'll do next. Because I tell you one thing, after the first game or two, I can get a sense for what they want to do. It's gonna be from a game to game basis, but you can look at those matchups in the schedule, and just imagine after the first or second game who they want to feature in that game. So what you might have saw the last game, 12-13 personnel, you might not see this week. And be okay with it without crying and bitching. That's what I'm trying to tell the fan base. Be okay with what they do. Give them time to manifest what they have cooking. And I think we'll all be okay and be better for that. But before we do some pleasantries, let me pass it to the Canuck man because he's got some information for you.
Yo, so we're going to sign things off here. If you are interested in joining the Superflex Fantasy Football League, by all means, grab your phone, take a quick peek at that QR code there on the bottom left. That's for the free league. If you want to play for free, we've already got a couple of subscribers, which is awesome. By all means, click away, scan away, follow the prompts, join the league. And when that one's up, we'll have a new QR code for you for the next league. Outside of that, if you want to join up to the Baller League itself, put your money where your mouth is, get yourself a t-shirt, join the t-shirt campaign. By all means, follow us at www.the-nomad-network.com. Jump over there to the site and follow the prompts by clicking here and grab yourself a t-shirt, and we'll kick things off in September. Before I let things move, got to do this. Yay. Yo, our homie John says he's joining the league. I'm stoked. John, I can't wait to take your money. I'm just messing with you. We're going to have a great time. Thanks for signing up there, John. I'll be sure to get you a link to the actual league itself. Follow the process, get yourself a t-shirt, and we'll get this thing popping. No, man.
Hey, kids, can I ask you a question?
By all means.
Have you ever heard a song called Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac? Who made that?
I'm very familiar, yes.
Who made that?
The Outcasts.
That's what me and J2K are. Two dope boys in a Cadillac.
So which one of you wears the pants with the plush toys?
That's probably J2K. But
you know what? I'm gonna definitely agree with that one because I'm not even gonna say why. Anyways,
you got a song to go research, man, in case you didn't know that.
All right.
Two dope boys in a Cadillac. But while kids has got that cooking, don't forget to get your football Chicago style established in damn 1920. Go get your shit before everybody else. And I'm finna put my boy on the screen right now. Let's go. Let's go, Naj. Let's go. Get your
Bear
shit.
down, y'all.
Get your shirt, man. Get your shirt.
Chicago style.
Well, Chicago style, baby.
You have a style, and it's all
You
kinds.
can get it in a week, 7 days.
You got them orange.
Hopefully.
Nice. That's
You
nice.
got them green and khaki color like Naj has on right now, man. It's just I love the variety. I love the design, and I'm not in sale mode, but yes, I am. I'm lying. I am in sale mode, and we do want to sell some of these shirts, and we want them.
You can get it in a hoodie too if you want. That same logo in a hoodie if you need a hoodie. If you're up in Canada.
And I was trying not to put some of that stuff in here, but because it ain't cold yet, but soon the dopest hoodie in that thing is this design. with the green hoodie. It is the best looking shit out there. I'm telling you. We'll put that up next week in case you guys haven't went to the website to go see it. But hey, man, I'm telling you, I just put it to you this way. I wouldn't release, and I wouldn't have any of this stuff released if I wouldn't wear it myself. Every single thing in the Nomad Network website, I wear myself. I don't have each and every one of those things, but I'm getting ready to start stockpiling it because it's good looking shit. And I like it, and it's a good, fair price on it. And so, hey, if you want to be supportive of the community, this is one way to do it. We're trying to grow this thing. We're trying to grow the channel, trying to grow this business, and trying to really get this stuff out here so people can see it, hear it, and talk about it. And this is one way to do it is if you get the gear and if you support and subscribe to the channel. That's the best way to do what we need you to do, and that's just support. Subscribe to the channel, like the show, comment in the comment section after the show if you heard some stuff that you want to talk about and we didn't get into enough detail about. Man, make sure you talk to us after the show. Get in the comment section and speak to us. But the more and more you guys support us, the better and better we get. But before I go on my whole tangent, we got to wrap up the show and pass it to Kez for some pleasantries.
Hey, that's me. Yeah, man. So awesome shirts on the site. Check the Superflex Fantasy Football podcast coming your way sooner than you think. And by all means, sign up for one of the leagues. Free if you just want to hang out with us and have fun and chop it up. Not so free if you want to talk trash and win some money. Totally up to you. We did it both for you guys. We'll layer in some other things down the road. There'll be some more announcements as we move forward. Got some other people chopping it up and having conversations with me, so we'll sort of figure out what that looks like, and I will let you guys know once again next week Sunday, if not on a Tuesday. With that being said, a little bit of love to you guys. Jojo Loco 5150, how you doing, Jojo? Always good to see you in the chat. My guy AC Adam, what it do? Mr. Mayhem, what it do? Who am I missing out there? I just want to touch on give a little bit of love.
John has been bumping.
Big John, mad love for John. John's been all over the chat tonight, giving us all kinds of love. John says he's joining the league. Join me, join John, and maybe John's taking both of our monies. Who knows?
Jason Haas with the super duper super chats all night, man. Jason Haas, thank you, Jason. Hey, that means the world to us, man. That's just another person.
Yeah. Can't forget FFG style with the $2 chats here today. He's looking for a Bears fan party. We're gonna have to do something. I know me and Nomad have been chopping it up with a little bit of an idea, so we'll get back to you on that. FFG. James Hunter, what's up? Thanks for coming through. King Book, I didn't give you love earlier in the show. Neither did I give Bear Truth 9 love earlier in the show. James Ford, what's up? Thanks for coming through. I think I pretty much in the grasp. I didn't give any love to In the Grasp earlier on. What's up? Ant Laborer, and I think that wraps it all up with our guy Illinois Jones, and it's Crimson. You dig? Thanks for coming through. Thanks for spending your time with us, and we're gonna see you next week Tuesday, and very likely on Sunday as well. Bear down, you guys. J2K.
Before you go, J2K, let me speak to JoJo, and maybe J2K is better to speak to this. I don't know if there's a 5XL. Is there a 5XL, J2K?
So, I believe so. In most of the items on the site, I do believe there's a 5XL. But go check. It's all listed there. Super easy to navigate. And hey, if there isn't a 5XL, reach out to us, and we'll get you hooked up.
So I can verify there are a bunch of 5XLs available out there. The questions are now, which colors offer 5XL? So find the design that you like, click through the colors, and more than likely you should be able to find a shirt in your size. JTK.
Yeah, and shout out to Keds and Superflex. I'm very excited about this show because I know Keds has been doing fantasy football for over 12 years now with his own league. and he's actually been killing it. He's super knowledgeable. If you're new to fantasy football but you want to learn, you want to play, join up with the free. I'll be hanging out in the free section just to hang out with you guys, have a good time, have some bragging rights. But at the end of the day, just talk football. If you guys are experienced, show up for the Baller League. You get a free T-shirt out of it, and you can easily win some cash if you win the league. And if you have your own fantasy football league and you want some insight, Keds is the man to get it from. So all this stuff's going to be happening very soon, very quickly. So sign up now. We also got some stuff cooking in the background, some juicy nuggets that may be added to the Superflex family. I'll just leave it there as a little bit of a mystery. But then shout out to everybody in the chat for hanging out tonight. I appreciate you guys. I see you guys in all the other podcasts. I appreciate the community we've got here, hanging out with me, chatting with me, talking football. It's going to be a super exciting and fun season. We got 10 days to go before we actually get to see some live football. So I am very excited about that. And to everybody, hope you all have a wonderful week. And we'll chat soon.
What say you, Super Nodge?
Just everyone be safe. We got like 11 days, I believe, till the Hall of Fame game. Looking forward to this season, and it's been real in the chat. A lot of action. John, man, you sure had a lot to say today. I could tell you're from Chicago. On my third Bloody Mary, and wishing everyone a safe week and all the best. Go ahead, Nomad.
All I can do is ditto everything everybody said, especially you, Naj, man. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of what we're doing over here, man. It's just love, love, love around here. And you know what? I really believe in timing. J2K is probably getting tired of me saying this shit, but I really believe in timing. I'm talking about in human life and existence on this planet. I believe timing is the critical piece that people need to, as humans, learn to pay attention to the signs. Really, really pay attention to it. And hold on with that for a second. Really pay attention to that kind of thing and know how to navigate your life according to the timing. There could be things going on right in front of you, that if you don't understand the timing of how that thing happened right in front of you, you might miss an opportunity. You might miss a blessing. As some people want, religious people see it that way. I have no problem with that. But, it's all about how you see life. And I believe that, positive energy, the well springs eternal. Because why? It's because if you give it, it comes back to you. You don't give it with the intention of it coming back to you. You give it because that's what's inside you. And so anybody that feels a certain kind of way about the energy that I give out to people, or anybody involved in this network, or anybody involved in this community receiving that energy, I believe 100% that nobody is expecting anything in return. I think that's just who people are when they're motivated to be that way. When given the right incentive, people can be great. People can be really good in this human existence. But if they have the right motivation, right? If they have the right motivation, people can do really good things. They can change on a dime. I've seen it happen. I've seen human beings.
It all comes from within.
Yes, I've seen human beings change on a dime. You could be the person that has the worst drinking problem, to the worst eating problem, to the worst drug problem, to the worst anything. People have vices, and people are pattern oriented. You can find that person, and if given the right motivation, that person could break that chain on a dime without any medicine, without any of that shit. They can change and be good people and good contributors to the society. And I believe that. And so I think we're in the midst, and I'm saying this to say this, I feel the kind of energy within this Bears fan base that you can sense that you can really sense that something really good is about to happen because the time is right. And you know, we all are guilty of being the worst version of ourselves sometimes, and I try not to be. And you know, we came out of a civil war amongst each other over stuff that was really unnecessary because the organization was going to do what they were going to do, and
Right.
that was going to be the end of it. And we either had to take it or leave it, not be a Bears fan or be a Bears fan. We all came back and circled around and stayed Bears fans, right? That being said, is get over that shit. Get in the groove, do what's right, keep good energy, pass it out, not for the sake of you'll get back good energy, but pass it out because that's the good human you are. You know, period. That's just all it is to that. And before we get out of here, let me say this. We how do I say this the best way? I'll just leave it at that, man, because I think I've said too much as it is, man. But make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not. If you like what we do, if you like the energy we give, and you're receiving good vibes from what we do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you haven't, if you're new to the channel, definitely make sure you do that. Hit the like on the way out the door, and just be good human beings out there, people. You know, there's a lot going on out here. I don't have to say specifics, but you know, make good choices. Do it for the person next to you, and just be a good human, man. And everything will take care of itself after that. That being said, if you can think it, you can see it, then you can manifest it. It's all in your mind. It's all in execution. With that being said, we are out.